Well, the temperatures are in the 70s, a slight cloud cover. It's a perfect day for the Gatorade 150 Sportsman Series race from the 2.5-mile tri-oval at Pocono, Pennsylvania. Pretty good crowd out on this Saturday morning as the field is all set and ready to go. Hello, everyone. I'm Ken Squire. At the moment, out here on the track, the Winston Cup cars are completing their second qualifying period. And very shortly, Darrell Waltrip will be up. He's been down on the track turning some laps, preparing for tomorrow's 500-mile Miller test. But this morning here on Prime, we've got a great race for you, 36 drivers. And if I told you these 36 were going to come out here and run 150 miles on a super speedway and not have a wreck, you'd probably be a little disbelieving. But back on Thursday, these same competitors came out here, ran a marvelous race. Now, there are a few unusual things about today's event. And let's go trackside for just a moment and learn a little more about them. For instance, how they qualified for today's race is not exactly what we usually come across on a super speedway.
Bizarre is a good word, Ken Squire. What happened here is normal qualifications were rained out, and usually when qualifications are rained out, what they do is they line the cars up according to either driver or car owner points. But there are no points in this division, so they started to scratch their heads and said, what are we going to do? And here's what they came up with. The first 4 positions are established by previous wins. Now, Marty Ward has won 2 races in this division in 1994. That's the most of anybody. He starts on the pole. Wally Fowler won here in a race on Thursday. He starts on the outside pole. Well, that's all the 1994 winners that we have here, so they went back to 1993. Tim Bender won 2 races in this division in 93. He starts 4th. David Smith won 1. He starts on the outside. Well, that's the first 4. After that, they went to postmark on the entry. Earliest postmark starts 5th. And old Henry Benfield, well, he was the last guy to the post office, so he starts dead last. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's reasonably clear. Now, they're going to have a single-file start, and that's what they inaugurated down at Charlotte a year ago to keep them from running over each other, and it worked out so well. Now, every sportsman race they run on a super speedway, that is the system utilized, and it really has proven to take the bite out of these races. They had some horrendous wrecks before. That doesn't happen so much anymore. Now, we're beginning to see some good competitors come out of this field, move along up into the ARCA and the Grand National ranks. And you've got some guys in here like Ward and Tim Bender. They're ready to make that move next. But they've got to prove themselves today, and they've got a grand opportunity on this track in perfect driving conditions. Now, Darrell Waltrip's about to join me. He's been out on the track this morning. As we mentioned, they had a long, extensive practice period for the Winston Cup cars getting ready for this critical race tomorrow. And so Darrell was taking some extra time to make sure that number 17 was all set and ready for a go in that 500-mile test. And old DW is just about ready to join us. Let's go down to Randy for a moment.
Well, here we are in the number 1 starting spot. This is where Marty Ward will take his Chevy off and throw it in the first gear, come up to speed. They've had a little time to practice here, and they had a race here on Thursday. Marty finished 3rd in a 150-mile race here on Thursday. Marty's had a little time to work on the car, practice. Can you take it from a 3rd-place car and put it up into the front and win this race?
I believe we can. We come up here for Thursday, and we was way tight with the car in the last practice yesterday, and we got the car dialed in pretty good. So I believe we'll be in pretty good shape.
How much practice did you get?
We got about 35 minutes yesterday evening, so I believe we'll be in pretty good shape for today's race.
Okay, good luck. Dick Bergman's on the outside of row 1. Dick?
And I'm with Wally Fowler. He doesn't have an awful lot of experience here. In fact, he ran his very first Pocono race on Thursday. Did a pretty good job. He won the pole, then he won the race, leading all but 6 laps. New deal today, Wally. Can you do it 2 times in a row?
Well, I sure hope so, Dick. We'll just have to settle in here and see what happens.
He did a real nice job here on Thursday. He's got a good-looking race car. He's got a big thundering herd behind him, Ken Squire.
Yes, and we have a big thundering herd right here, all in one person. Old DW has joined us. Well, good to have you up here. How did the practice period work this morning for you?
Well, that was what we were doing. A lot of cars, we qualified 24th yesterday, and that's kind of where you stand. You say, well, should I go over or should I just stand on this time? And went out this morning. The track's a little bit quicker, but not enough to take a chance on going out and re-qualifying. Some of these guys did, and I know they picked up, a little bit, but We'll still start in the 24th, 5th, 6th, 7th position right along there, and that's okay for us.
Well, right now the issue is the Owensboro Speedway moves to 2.5-mile tri-oval here. These guys are your kind of folks from back home.
You know, this is youth and enthusiasm and no experience. It makes for a great race and a lot of fun to watch. Not very productive sometimes, but a lot of fun to watch. The people at home are going to enjoy it, I know, and I enjoy doing these kind of races because there's raw talent here. And I mean that in the most verbal terms. It's raw talent.
Well, we'll see how the raw talent does shortly. Back to Randy.
Well, Tom Sherrill will start his Chevy in 5th position today. Dick Berggren talked about postmarked entries, and let's find out who the dubious distinction goes to getting that postmarked entry in here. Great job in getting it done. You're going to start 5th today.
Yeah, Robin, I think we got the fastest male people on the East Coast, so we're glad to be starting here.
Okay, all right, the fastest mailman in the world works for Tom Sherrill. Got in 5th place for today's race, Darrell. We'll tell you more about the starting lineup in a moment.
You by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Nothing quenches that deep-down body thirst better than Gatorade.
Just about ready for the most famous command in motorsports. There's some guys that probably a little nervous out there right now. Let's go down to engines are going off right now, and we're ready for 36 cars to get out here and give it a go on this 2.5-mile track. 60 laps, 150 miles the distance today, Darrell.
Yeah, you know, the interesting thing, Ken, is that I don't know these guys. They don't race that much on big racetracks, and they certainly don't race on TV very often, but they've certainly gone out and done their homework. All of them got a sponsor today. And I bet if they were racing some little half-mile somewhere, quarter-mile somewhere, we might not see these big-name sponsors on the side of these race cars.
Well, one of them has the Volunteer Trucking Company. The Caldwell Banker got into the race, too, I see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Lacey Collision. I don't think that's like the old Rumpel furniture. Remember that JD used to have? Always had Rumpel on the back of his car. One of my favorites. So we're getting the field ready to roll out. They're not on pit road. They're down there at the bottom side of the pit as you enter turn 1. And here they come. These old Winston Cup cars. How many of these cars do you think you once said in VW?
Well, I think there's probably 2 or 3 of them, and I know there used to be 2 or 3 of our old Monte Carlos in the field, and I assume they still are if they've survived the wars that they've been through with these guys. These guys put on a great show on these big racetracks. They don't have the experience to know that this place is fast and it might hurt you, so they just stand on it, go down in the corner. You watch them go in that first turn. We try to get single file when we go in there. These cats go in there 4 or 5 wide and don't think a thing about it.
Stand by. Sounds interesting. Let's take a look at the grid today. Marty Ward starts up in front, and Wally Fowler, who won here on Thursday in a Sportsman race, starts beside it. Then Tim Bender, who comes from Upper New York State and was a World Snowmobile champion, starts in 3rd with David Smith alongside. Tom Sherrill is scheduled to go in the 5th position, and Jerry Rector will be starting beside him. Going back into row 4, there's Ronnie Greenstaff and Tom White in those positions. Lester Lesneski, and remember, they're lining up single file. Let me straighten that out right now. Not double file. Lesneski is ready to go from the 9th spot. Then Russ Galindo. In 11th is David Smith. Paul Shaver is 12th. Gary Layton starts 13th. Don Satterfield 14th. James McClellan starts in 15th. Doug Bennett 16th. Gary Ritter 17th. It's Danny Bumbacco from Dumont, New Jersey in 18th. Mickey Hudspeth out of Rhonda, North Carolina ought to make some good moves. He'll be starting 19th. Bubba Urban from Richmond, Virginia starts in 20th. Sherry Minter is in 21st. Remember, her dad, Clyde Minter, ran some great races back in the late 70s in Winston Cup racing. Don Wagner is 22nd. Clyde O'Connor, Mike Olufter, and he's a Connecticut driver. Tim Neighbors, Andy Thurman. Starting 27th is Robin Caldwell and Bill Ferguson, 28th. Terry Page, R.C. Hickson, Bobby Fox Jr., Mike Galt. And then you have James Lamoureux from Sweet Valley, Pennsylvania. Sherry Blakely from San Antonio. And rounding out the field, Stuart Rasmussen and Henry Benfield is 36.
Oh, Henry. Henry's bringing up the rear of the field here. Henry's a truck driver, you know, for Junior Johnson on the Budweiser team, and I think it's great. Just got the great names in here, Tim. We'll talk about it later.
Well, no, Henry Benfield. Right. We'll get back. An old friend of Darrell's out here. He helped in his first Sportsman race after these messages. Degrees, that second turn, the tunnel turn 8, and then that big sweeper in 3, 6 degrees. They're coming down that second straightaway. About 3,000 feet there. They're in that short chute right now, into that third turn.
You know, Ken, they're coming around the single file here. I guess this is a
serious stuff.
Yeah.
Single file start on the Sportsman competition in NASCAR for these super speedways. And bringing him down is Marty Ward in that number 97. Right behind him, Wally Fowler, who gave it a great shot the other day. And the Gatorade race is underway.
We got all the great names in here. We got Bubba, we got Lester, and we got some other Cherries back here in the back, and of course Henry's back here bringing up the tail end. So got all the great names in this race.
And RC.
RC.
Wally Fowler making a move.
And Wally, of course. I mean, you know, we got Wally. So we got a lot of great names.
Take a look at this for first place. Diving right down to the bottom from Campobello, South Carolina, Wally Fowler giving you the shot for first. Marty Ward up on the outside in the orange, number 97. And Marietta, South Carolina in the Hooters car.
You can tell the guys that have watched TV, they line up and draft. The rest of them, they just go everywhere.
They had a heck of a race here back on Thursday. Counted for themselves very, very well. R.C. Hickson, number 5, hit it for fuel on the pace lap there.
That's interesting. That wonder, maybe that's some strategy that some of us ought to consider.
So Fowler comes by out in front. Tim Bender in the yellow, number 36, is pulled up into second. Riding third is that red, number 97 of Marty Ward, and David Smith in there.
The reason Hickson pitted for fuel so early was that the whole deal here could wind up to be a fuel race. Now, this race has been won by a driver making no pit stops, but it is so close, most of the drivers didn't want to chance it. This morning, Hickson told me, he said, if you see me pit for fuel on the first lap, it's because I'm going to go the rest of the way without stopping no matter what. The thing that's smart about pitting so early is he's now got the whole rest of the race to pass all the rest of those cars.
R.C. Hickson out of Tennessee, the Volunteer Trucking Chevrolet making that call at the start.
Yeah, you know, that could be a great strategy, but if somebody else can make it without having to stop for fuel at all, then he's going to be he's about 2/3 of a lap down right now. So that could be hard to overcome in this race.
Fifth place battle, Jerry Rector getting in there and moving up a slot, teaming at 81. Right behind him comes Lester Lesneski out of Porterville, California.
Let me clarify that, too. That's assuming there's no caution.
Well, that's a big assumption.
That is a big assumption.
Hey, they've got 2 laps complete, and they look good out there.
Hey, you know, they've gotten better and better. This series has really gotten better on these big racetracks. And, of course, as we said, these are old Winston Cup cars, and they are suited for this type of racing.
Down to the inside there is Marty Rector in the, Wally Fowler in the number 4 car. And you see Marty Ward in the 97 holding on with Tim Bender challenging him for that second spot.
This is the customary guys that you see at the front in this series. They seem to have their cars just a little bit better than some of the other guys that run this series.
Well, they've had some experience with these cars, too. Most of them go back 2 or 3 years in this series, so they do know their way around a bit.
Hey, guys, most of these drivers were here on Thursday for a 150-mile contest. Tim Bender was not. That's because he didn't have a race car. He went up and sold the thing after his May race in Charlotte. But what happened was he got a sponsor in between the time he sold the car and this race. So what did he do? He went and borrowed the car from the person that he sold it from. And here he is. He's starting third, and he's running pretty well.
He's running real well, as a matter of fact. I wonder if he's a used car salesman of some kind on the side.
They want to get him down there, Frank.
Yeah, might even bring him down to the dealership. Sound like he knows how he sells the car and then borrows it back. Sound like something I do to my dad.
There they are down that Long Pond straightaway over the tunnel turn. And Mike Lovett is having a heck of a race. The 03 car, we'll catch up on him in a moment. We watch this battle for the lead redevelop. Marty Ward and Wally Fowler hard in it out there.
And already coming up on lap traffic, which is surprising because we've only run, this will be the 4th lap. So those guys in the front there are checking right on out.
Tim Bender hanging right in third. He was not among the Thursday participants here. Probably couldn't get a day off from work there.
Well, he was the young man we were talking about didn't have a car, I guess, on Thursday.
Yep.
He borrowed one to race today.
Wally Fowler in that car number 4, pacing the field. Experience. Should the Sportsman division be on a fast track like Pocono, Wally?
I come here and never seen the place before back in June and got about 20 laps of practice and sat on the pole and set a track record for this type of car. So I don't see where that's got anything to do with it.
Tell you what, he led 56 of 60 laps en route to victory here on Thursday, Darrell.
I wonder how he'd have felt if he hadn't sit on the pole and broke the track record and won the race.
Still looking good here as he sweeps around this 6-degree banking of turn 3. And now down this long 3,700-foot straightaway.
You know, as a matter of fact, this is a good racetrack for... Oh, we got a spin over in turn 2.
We got one lost down in the grass. And car 27 comes to rest down there. That's Harry Page out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and does not bring out a caution. Down on the inside, he cranks it up. And Harry's going to bring it back on and let the Atlantic Coast Packaging Special give it another shot.
You know, some people may say, well, why wasn't there a caution? That's in an area of the racetrack where he could, without a harm's way, he gets it cranked up and he gets going. And so we don't need a caution. The 62 car had a little problem there also. I was just going to make the point about the racetrack. It's so big and it's so forgiving in a lot of places that it's really a good place for these guys to get some good super speedway experience.
And getting it they are as they've gone through the first 5 of 60 laps with an area sign of caution, 12.5 miles complete. For the moment, Wally Fowler drawing away gets himself about 10 car lengths on a 3-car battle for second place. As they come back to the strike, 97, Wally Fowler is in second, followed by Tim Bender and David Smith. And we have 2 David Smiths in the race. We'll get to that story now. A little further back, take a look at this gamble.
Boy, that's a close race.
That number 40 car, hustling down on the inside, is Mickey Hudspeth. Remember, he started well back out of Rhonda, North Carolina. Good racer in the D&D tire car. He should be pulling himself right up through this field. Hudspeth started back in 19th position in the D&D tire Chevrolet.
This is not 5 o'clock traffic, folks. This really is racing on this racetrack. These straightaways are really long, and they can get 3 and 4 wide when they get down to the turn. Of course, they have to kind of single file it into the turn. They get all over the place on the straightaway.
Gary Layton out of North Carolina, just in front there in the 74. Hudspeth had a great day in that number 40. Came up to 5th. We got the 88 loose and sliding into the infield. That's James McCallion from West Berlin, New Jersey. His Oldsmobile. Going to rocket that thing right back on the track. Little agricultural racing there for this New Jersey campaign. Now, if this was Charlotte, what would happen, Darrell?
Well, that would probably,
like
he'd have probably backed that thing right up into the fence. We don't have that grassy area down around the inside of the racetrack. He'd have gone down on the flat and backed up into the fence and probably caused a heck of a wreck.
Look at that 97. Down on the bottom, Marty Ward throws, and we've got another one stuck to the wall. Here is Gary Ritter from Whiting, New Jersey. His Chevrolet. Now, Ritter was the guy who came in here with the sponsorship from Lacey Collision.
I wonder if he had an intuition about today.
About his collision?
Yes.
Well, Gary Ritter finds himself parked in the wall and brings out the first caution, that at the 7th lap.
That's a terrible feeling to be backed into the fence looking back at the traffic coming towards you. Because you see every car coming towards you and you wonder if they see you or not. That's a terrible feeling.
We're going to take a commercial break right here and then rejoin you at Pocono International Raceway. It's NASCAR Sportsman Division in the Gatorade 150. After he backed that car into the wall, Whiting, New Jersey driver in that Chevy. So we're waiting for further word on him. It looked like a pretty easy bounce out there, Darrell, but nothing's easy.
No, it looked like he spun around back of the fence and didn't look like he had any driver's side impact. So I think he's okay. I'm sure the car is worse for the wear. We had a few pit stops while we were away on break. A few guys came in, topped off the tanks, and our old buddy there that stopped on the pace lap. I don't know how this plays to his strategy, but I guess fuel mileage is still a concern.
Let's see if we can find out how the fuel mileage is going. Down to the pit.
Wally Fowler came in here, Ken. He took on fuel only. They can't change tires under these pit stops. And, you know, ordinarily when we see races, they wait until the tail. Ordinarily they take tires and they do that sort of thing. Well, you can't change tires here. So what Fowler's decided to do is come in early. He's got most of the rest of the race. You've heard that strategy before. The rest of the leaders, however, have stayed out. My guess is they're hoping for some caution flags, going to try to go all the way to the end. Randy?
Well, Harry Page, who just pitted, he spun a little while earlier. Interesting story on that car. The guy that go ahead and went and changed tires on this automobile because they thought they flat spotted all four. The guy that changed the rear tires is going to drive in the ARCA race coming up here in just a little while. Rear tire changers on this car, Ron Burchett. He'll start 12th in the ARCA Supercar Series. Just thought he'd get in a little extra work here this afternoon.
Lad Harry Page, he got his start in a driving school down in Charlotte. Darrell, his crew chief Alan Russell is being tutored by the old Hall of Famer Ralph Moody. Seeing some more pit stops down here. R.C. Hickson, remember the guy that added that fuel at the last moment? He's back in there on pit road, decided it's time to give it a little another shot of fuel.
Well, I don't know about fuel. Right now the sucker's smoking on him. He might have to add a little oil to it now, but his strategy may have worked for him, but it doesn't look like he got an engine problem now. So the hood was up and the hood's down, and
the steering wheel's off.
And he's coming out. He says, man, and I had this thing figured out. I had the winning strategy. I topped that sucker off on the parade lap. Look what happened.
R.C. Hickson.
Maybe he's going to run to another car. I've got the winning strategy if you just find me a car to drive.
Think it's a triathlon?
Oh, maybe, you know,
do a little racing, do a little
A lot of people always ask me.
Swimming, huh?
People always ask me, what do you do when you got to go to the bathroom? Well, maybe that's his problem.
Yeah, this is the fastest thing happening here right now at Pocono, folks.
Go, RC. I don't know where you're going, but go, baby.
Well, he ran 7th here last year. That was with 4 wheels.
Yeah. I'm sure he's going to relief drive for someone or himself. I'm not sure which.
Here's Dick Berger.
Again, to sort of put all this in perspective, it seems to me that what we really have here is down-home Saturday night type racing, but on a super speedway. I was in the pit area this morning, literally at dawn at 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, as the sun was coming up over the Pocono Mountains. Wives and girlfriends had the video cameras on as their husbands and boyfriends were unloading cars out of the backs of the trailers. Fathers and brothers, our crew chiefs here, you see wives and girlfriends under the cars with wrenches in hand. They are an important part of the pit crew on many of these teams. And crew members here are not paid. In fact, many of them chip in money out of weekly paychecks earned at park counters in order to get these cars to the racetrack. These folks are here not for the money, but because they love it.
Yeah, the weekly short trackers getting a crack at a super speedway. Having some fun out here today.
This is exciting. I mean, I can remember the first time I went to a super speedway, and I had a very similar situation. Daytona, actually.
Is that where you had where you bought the equipment at Sears?
No, that was part of it. Yeah, the old truck, the coffee truck, and the trailer, and I had a little toolbox full of hand tools and 4 spare tires and wheels. That's all I had. Jake Elder was there to help me. So,
but isn't that the place where you bought the jack that didn't work?
Oh no, that's the place I bought. I spent a lot of money for a jack. I didn't have I had the little cheap jack, and I spent a lot of money to buy a jack for the race, and it hung under the car as I was going down the pit lane.
Yeah.
And everybody was pointing at me, and I thought I didn't know what was going on. I thought they thought I was cheating because I was running pretty good that day. But they were pointing at me dragging my $250 jack down pit lane, and it came loose on the car and hit the end of the pit wall and blew into a million pieces.
And he lost more money with that jack than he did racing all day.
Oh, but no, not exactly.
Oh?
I happened to be I was using an old brand of tires. Goodyear had a shredded tire, and that was the new design. I had the slick tires they'd run there before. I made $650 selling tires when I fell out of the race. And these guys, I'm sure they do some of the same things.
Okay, 10 laps are now complete. We're ready to go racing once again. DW alongside, and we're at Pocono International Raceway. Sportsman cars in this Gatorade 150. Settling down on a restart, and you see Tim Bender up in front. And with R.C. Hickson is Randy Pemberton. We can find out about that wrong.
Well, first of all, I guess Sherry's hurting a little bit. Are you going to have to get in the car or not?
We're not real sure. She's okay right now. And it's her choice whether or not she wants to come out of it.
Okay, so Well, Sherry, I don't know if if her back is hurting her right now or not, but I guess evidently she's having a little bit of a problem, and she's going to go out and try and ride around just a little while. If she has further complications, then Dixon will get in the car.
Okay, now is that Sherry Blakely or Sherry Minter? Sherry Minter, who apparently is developing a back problem out there. Okay, look at those guys.
Look at this,
it out.
I mean, does does anybody have any idea where they're going in this race?
They're going down in that first turn up on that 14-degree bank. He's 3 wide. Bender out in front. Marty Ward staying right with him.
That is a pack of cars right there. They all made it. That's a great thing. It hadn't been too long ago when they wouldn't have all made it, but they've gotten a lot better at handling their cars on these big racetracks.
Okay, number 0, Tim Navins, has passed 14 cars on the inside before the restart, and he might get a black flag. You see him there, that number 0, now up in third. He made a magnificent move on the start, but it was long before he got to the line. The flag flew. We'll see what they're going to do about that.
I don't see it. It's kind of like everybody on the interstate speeding. I don't see how they can stop that one guy, because everybody did that. He just happened to do it more than the others.
He sure cleared out a group. That's Neighbors in the number 0 up in the third position.
You can get some good, I mean, the way the cars come off the corner here so slow, if you lay back a little bit and get it and kind of jump the start, you can really pass a lot of cars.
David Smith stayed 4th. 0 went from 25th to 3rd as he came down to the line. There's a Waltrip move that worked. Didn't get caught.
I'd like to be able to do that. That's about where I'm starting tomorrow, so I'd like to be able to do that.
Look at this battle for the lead. Back to the inside goes Marty Ward. And once again, he takes over first. Ooh, a little slide there out of Tim Bender. 0 goes up high. As they mix it up, David Smith and that number 18 closing it again. And the 81, Jerry Rector's into it now.
These cars they don't have a lot of horsepower, so it's momentum, and it's staying in the throttle to use what power you do have. So they run really close together, and they take a lot of chances.
As they come back to Jerry Rector, he finds himself a 3rd. Smith drops to 4th, and that number 0 is Tim Neighbors. Bun Level, North Carolina, falls back to 5th.
And there they go, Ken, bobbing and weaving down into the first turn.
Not much bobbing and weaving out there, Darrell. Pretty solid, pretty steady. Now let's see if we can see Sherry Minter's car. And there is the 61, and we understand that she's suffering with a back injury. Remember, she got cuffed down at Charlotte pretty severely in one of these races. She's a racer.
She run very well at Charlotte, and that's a good race car. I assume, is RC Hickson, is he going to get in that car?
That's what they're talking about. And she was up in front. She qualified very, very well at Charlotte. She can really race. So she comes out of a long tradition of racing. Clyde Minter was a very good driver. Her dad. So back they come with number 97, Marty Ward first, and the yellow car of Tim Bender in second. So let's talk to Marty Ward for a moment about what's different about Pocono compared to other tracks these sportsman folks race at.
Well, most places we go, these cars we run on a bank racetrack, and there ain't no banking here at all, and it's something different to get used to in these 3,500-pound cars, so that's got a lot to do with it.
And some had a little trouble, those 3,500-pound cars, up in turn 3.
Yeah, we had a pretty serious.
And we had at least a 3-car collection. There is Mizer's number 61 lying in the grass at the bottom of turn 3. This is lap 14.
Yeah, here comes the 27 car down pit lane with a heavy damage on the right front.
Terry Page from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Minter's car doesn't look like it had that much. I didn't see any damage on it visible on the right side anyway. Looks like it just pulled down there and stalled.
That Harry Page car was in its second incident of the day, and this costly to them. And that number 27, I would say that's written off for this one.
Yeah. Even an experienced crew, I don't think you get that car back in the race. It's got pretty heavy damage on the right front. So wheel knocked back there, and the fender caved in, and there's work to do.
Back with more on this story of this second caution of the day in the Gatorade 150. After these messages, they're clearing up the debris in turn 3 after a 3-car incident up there has halted the efforts of Terry Page for sure from Charlotte, North Carolina. And we also saw Sherry Minter's car involved, the Martinsville, Virginia lady, back on the track and rolling once again. We're at least another lap away from getting a green flag for the third time in the event. 15 laps are complete, 37.5 miles down, Darrell. And that battle up in front's been a dandy all the way here. We've seen some great racing out of Marty Ward, and Fowler, and Bender. And we're going to see a lot out of Jerry Rector, I think, before we get too much further into this thing.
Yeah, it looks like, Marty Ward and, of course, Wally Fowler and Bender, they've been the class of the field here lately, and they're right there at the front again today, so they're going to be hard to beat.
Here's a report on Sherry Minter from Dick Berglund.
Ken, she's definitely racing hurt. When she crashed in Charlotte, and she was in that big jingle with Red Everett in May, when she crashed in that thing, she hurt her back, and it seemed to be all right until about a week or so ago. And at that time, she said it just really started to hurt, so she went to a chiropractor, had it snapped back out. Now, on Thursday, when she raced here, she lost a feeling in her left arm. Imagine trying to drive a race car, and the feeling just goes away in one of your hands and one of your arms. Well, that's what happened. So she started today's race all wrapped up and said, I don't know if I can make it all the way, but I'm sure going to try.
Good story on Sherry Minter. Fun to watch her race. Hope she has a good day. John Holland is with us from Gatorade. And this is what, your first opportunity to see a race?
Yes, it is, and I'm proud to be here.
Well, what do you think of this thing?
Oh, it's just great. Great. Gatorade has been a fan of NASCAR for many of years, and we're proud to be a sponsor of the Sportsman 150.
Indeed, they have been. They've had programs within NASCAR for a long, long time. But, I mean, your reaction to seeing 36 cars come down this straightaway, 160 miles an hour, it looks like fun, doesn't it?
Oh, it is. It's thrilling.
Yeah,
thrilling.
that's how this fellow over here, he does that for a living.
She probably doesn't remember, or maybe she looks like a very young lady, but I drove the Gatorade car.
Oh, did you?
We introduced Gatorade into this sport in 1976. They were my sponsor for a number of years.
Yeah, that was a long, long time ago. Yeah, before you.
Like I said,
I
looks like a
remember
young
that
lady.
Nice to have you with us, Don.
Thank you.
Hope you have a great day, and thanks to Gatorade for sponsoring this 150.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
All right, appreciate it. Well, DW, we've got 16 laps in the book, and we've got this score up in front with 3 guys in there getting a really good shot. You see Ward and Fowler and Bender and Jerry Rector. There you see the yellow car of Tim Bender. He's won here. He's won 2 races here at Pocono. Won 2 or 3 down at Charlotte, North Carolina. It's not going to be long before they'll give him a crack at Arthur and Grand National, I would think. Well, somebody's got to take a look at him.
That's the good thing about these series. I mean, this is kind of like in one weekend here at Pocono, we're watching high school, college, and professional. It just happens to be racing, not ball, not football or basketball. This is kind of like the very beginning of your career, and if you can handle this, and they'll move you up to another series, and so on and so on.
So, ready for another go. This Tim Bender down to the inside as the flag comes out and gives it a shot. Digs right down to the bottom. Tries to get a hold on Marty Ward, and look at that, 4 and 5 wide. Hey.
Yeah, 5 o'clock rush. Here we go.
Whoop. Loose there on one. He got himself almost up to the wall, gathered it back up. Flips it off into that long pond straightaway, off that 14-degree bank, headed for the 8 degrees. Tunnel turn with these cars running like this. Do you really get the same feel that you would in a Winston Cup car, or do you just kind of motor on through?
No, I'd say, they're not doing 180 miles an hour down that straightaway like we do. They're probably around 140 to 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, and they probably flat-footed through there, to tell you the truth. Cars are good enough to do that, I think, and of course experienced drivers can do it too. That 11 car there, that's that black Ford of Henry Benfield, who started in the very last position and is steadily making his way to the front.
Well, yeah, he's midway of the field now.
I'm sure Junior Johnson is probably down there telling him what to do.
Nobody can tell Henry Benfield what to do in a race car. You know that, Darrell.
I spotted for Henry in his first race at Charlotte, and you talking about an experience. The race was he was doing so poorly that I went over to my shop, which was nearby, and spotted by listening to the radio. And when they'd say caution turn 3, well, I just tell Henry caution turn 3. Problem was, one time he was the caution, and I didn't know it.
Yeah, I thought that was really small of you to go all the way back to the garage and be his spotter. But he spun what, 5 or 6? That was his first race.
The first time he spun, I told him, I was there when the first time. I said, Henry, there's a caution in turn 3. back it down. And he spun out. He spun the car around and back down the racetrack. And he said, Henry, I told you to back it down, not spin it around. And, of course, he stutters, and it took a while for me to get an answer from him.
Well, let's follow this battle up in front for a while. We'll get back with Henry in a moment. Henry's having a good race, and he had a very good race here the other day and looked pretty good at Charlotte, North Carolina back on Memorial Day. This, for the moment, is Bender out in front, and coming after him another time is Marty Ward, who's set on the pole, the South Carolina driver, and the Hooters Chevrolet right there in that second spot. Running third for the moment again is South Carolina's Wally Fowler. South Carolina finished first, second, and third here on Thursday. South Carolina kids getting themselves a break into sportsman racing. Looking to move on up.
Oh, Lester.
Oh, we've got one away, and that's the 09. That really finds the wall. Galindo will get another spun back down and picked up a car and beat up Doug Bennett's car very badly. Doug Bennett out of Monroe, North Carolina. That's a savage one on the front end of car number 86.
That's one of the problems with this kind of racing is the cars are going fast, and if there's an accident and these guys just don't know which way to go, and of course in this case he took the wrong way, and that car slid down the racetrack and he nailed it running very fast.
Doug Bennett's number 86 taking a lot of damage up front in the M&R Racing Buick.
That's heavy damage, and I hope that the young man's okay. The car caught on fire also.
Take another look. Now there's the first car away. 09, Russ Galindo out of Charlotte, North Carolina, up toward the wall.
See, everybody's taking evasive action, and they're going low, and here he comes down the racetrack, and really and truly, there's not a whole lot you can do in a case like that.
The only good news was that wasn't on the driver's side. It was on the other side of the car where the first impact was. But still, that was a tremendous amount of impact that took the back end out of the 09.
Boy, it just knocked the whole rear end out from under that thing. That's that area behind the tire there's where the fuel cell normally sits. So he whacked the whole back end out of that 09 car, and of course the what is that other car? 86 car, 88 car crushed up pretty badly also.
Russ Galindo out of his car, apparently okay, but they're heading over there to take a look at Doug Bennett in the black and green, car number 86, M&R Racing Buick, which is a family entry. Crew chief is Dennis Bennett. And they're for sure going to want to take a look at Dennis Bennett after that hit. And both drivers are out, and both drivers are okay. So that's the good news on that one. A wild incident down here in the 14-degree banking of turn 1. The drivers walk away from a 150-mile-an-hour crash that has eliminated 2 cars from the Gatorade 150. Back with you with 21 laps complete, 52.5 miles, so we're better than a third of the distance. We just had a wild incident here in the turn 1 area, having a great dice up in front, but it all came to naught when Russ Galindo's car was badly torn up, hit by Bennett's machine, right at that area they're working on now.
Yeah, let's take a look at that again, Ken. A very unusual thing happened here. This doesn't happen to the NASCAR car very often, but the impact is so hard, and it's just a direct hit right into the fuel cell area. And if you'll notice, all that white spray, that's gasoline that came out of the cars. Those cars have a fuel cell in them, but he took a shot right in the area where the cell sat and knocked that thing right out of the car. Fortunately for him and everybody else, there wasn't a fire right there, because that's very unusual to see a NASCAR car have a fuel cell knocked out of it like that.
Doug Bennett's number 86 was the car that was on impact with the 09. The 09 was running in 22nd position when that happened, Russ Galindo, and back in 27th, diving to the inside, trying to find a hole and running out of room was Doug Bennett. The good news is the drivers are all right. We're getting set to go here once again. By the way, we were mentioning Henry Benfield a moment or two ago, and DW was telling stories about his old truck driving friend. There he is.
There he goes.
And he's up in 13th position, Joe.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's it's funny how I never expected Henry Benfield to be able to drive a race car, or maybe loaded in the truck and unloaded out of the truck. But to go out on these racetracks, I never just thought he had the finesse for that. Of course, a great truck driver, and he has continually improved to the point to where he's a pretty decent shoe right now. And They just surprises the heck out of me.
He may be pushing you for a ride. He may be wanting a ride from your company.
No, he's much older than I am. You know,
Henry, what do you think of this Pocono track, Henry Benfield?
I like it. It is long, it's just wide, and you have plenty of this room to just race, you know.
That's Henry.
That's him, all right. Now, if you gave him a CB mic, he could have been much more expressive, because he talks a lot more than that on it when he's driving the truck. But I think he must be a little TV camera shy.
Does that car look familiar to you, that number 11?
Well, no, it doesn't.
Well, it should. You used to drive it.
That's an old race car. I don't know where it came from. One that does look familiar to me is Don Wagner's car. That's an ODW car, and they purchased that from us.
Hard damage on Doug Bennett's car, and he walked away from it. 22 complete here at Pocono. Getting set for a restart, probably a lap away. A pit report from Dick Bergen.
I'm sitting beside Sherry Minter. The tape didn't work?
Obviously not. We were hoping to put extra padding in the seat and rib brace and tape my shoulders up, but about lap 20, like Thursday when we ran, it starts stiffening up on me, and I just, rather than take a chance, I figured Ron could probably do a better job at this point.
So Ron Hickson is in Sherry Minter's car.
Ron Hickson taking over for Sherry Minter. Hope she gets well soon. I think we're going to see some great racing out of her in time to come.
Yeah,
certainly has it, and that was cool of her to decide to come in and not just try to tough it out there. This is up on somebody else.
Very pleasant young lady, and has a good attitude about racing.
How do you feel about women drivers in racing?
Oh, I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I think it's great. I think it's a sport where they might really come along. Hand-and-eye coordination and all that sort of thing. And you think back to women like Denise and Pluggett, they gave great performances and beat a lot of top guys in the old days.
Yeah,
of course, to see it happen again.
The names that we're familiar with, the Patty Moises and Robin Dollenbach, McCall,
Dollenbach,
yeah, and others. There's a young lady that's going to run in the ARCA race. Lois Lane, I think her name is.
Yeah.
Laura Lane, actually. She does a good job in that series. So there's a place for everybody in this sport, Ken. There's a place for young people, there's a place for old people, and there's a place for women. And this is that kind of sport. It's a family sport. It's kind of fun to get out there and see what you can do.
Nice to have a place for older people, so you do have something to do there.
Yeah, it is. That's a lot better than retirement.
Sarah Christian, she ran fifth in Heidelberg, Pennsylvania. Winston Cup race, 1949.
Now, did you just...
Great fielding.
You had that right off the top of your head,
Great fielding had that. He couldn't wait to let us tell you that. That's from the encyclopedia. A report on car 4 from Dick Bergen.
Well, Wally Fowler had pitted early, Ken, and he's been working his way through the field ever since. He's got himself all the way up to third, but he has just radioed the crew explaining that he's got a skip in the engine. Bobby Edge, you're with this bunch. What's the skip, and can you fix it?
It's not skipping every lap, it's just occasionally. He's going to try to go on and finish the race like it is, see what he can do.
Okay, they're going to try to get it squared away. Randy Pemberton is at the medical center. Randy?
Well, I can't update you that Russ Galindo and Doug Bennett have walked out of the ambulances into the infield care center. They did appear visually to be okay, so maybe we'll get a word from them when they come out, but they look just fine for everybody at home.
Working lap number 24 under caution with that report from the hospital area here at Pocono International Raceway. When we come back, we can expect the green flag ready to go in the Gatorade 150. Stay with Prime later tonight for more high-speed action. Live from Salem, Indiana, the ASA AC Delco Challenge. That's tonight, 8 Eastern on most Prime affiliates. Salem's an old favorite of yours, isn't it?
Buddy, I wish I could fly over and run that race tonight. I love that racetrack. I won about 10, 12 times there. You go up there and just have a great time. I won the first ASA race they had in Salem, Indiana, back in 19 something. It was still in the 19s.
Yes, right. They could have been using those horses we saw in the infield with a carriage.
Oh, they're out there just riding around, enjoying the afternoon. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Pocono, unlike the last time we were here.
24 laps have been completed, and unlike the last Sportsman race we saw here, we've already had 4 cautions, and that's a ton more than they had on Thursday. They ran that race scot-free of problems. But not the story today as we watch the car number 36 getting ready to go one more time from Up in front, 13 laps of yellow, 12 laps of green so far today, Darrell.
Yeah, you know, people might wonder about, we have a pace truck here, not a pace car. And also, it turns off the racetrack over off of turn 2 there, or just past the tunnel. That's because it's too much trouble for the thing to get from over here all the way back over there in case they need it in an emergency.
Right. Tim Bender. And there could be another emergency at any moment, the way they've been dropping these caution flags out here today. Brings the field down.
Well, these restarts these are the wildest restarts I've ever seen. I don't know what kind of rules they have for restarts. I mean, obviously they have no rules for restarts.
Well,
we have to do all of our passing on the right.
They have a rule. It's called get your best hole. Woo. And best hole.
Look at Henry down there. I think there's Henry way, way down on the bottom.
Black car in the bottom. Looks like Benfield.
And I think he moved all the way up to
5th or 6th.
I bet he is stuttering like crazy right now.
Do you hum or whistle or anything when you're out there racing? You remember Taylor Yarborough always hummed?
I just
put the in-car camera in there and could always him going,
oh, you do all kinds of weird things. Depends on what kind of day you're having. Unfortunately or fortunately, or how you want to look at it, everybody can hear what you do these days.
Here comes Henry. Car number 11 is up to 7th, Benfield, and drawing away out in front is Bender for the moment. He gets a little bit of a breather after that Oklahoma land rush we had for the start. It looked like they were fighting for territory.
Incredible start.
Look at that battle back there in third. Up on the outside, Marty Ward. They're going to try to make it 3 wide in the main straightaway. Holding him out there is the 81 of Jerry Rector.
That's one thing about this racetrack. It's so wide that it really is exciting to watch these cars, particularly when they get bunched up like they are right now.
And you can see the black number 11 up to 6 comes Benfield. And remember, he had the latest postmark. He didn't get to the post office very quickly, and therefore he had to start dead last. Henry's on a charge.
Well, you know, up there in Wilkes County, mail doesn't do all that fast. It's no wonder he had the last postmark.
They still have a post office there.
Yeah, you got to take the mail yourself.
He's carrying the mail right now, but Lester Lesneski just snuck under him. Took 6th spot away. He's moved into 6th. The Porterville, California racer has moved under Henry Benfield.
Do you think Lester came all the way from Porterville to run this race?
Well, not all the way, but he's a native of that part of the world. Take a look at Bender getting caught up out here.
These two guys are just steadily moving away from the rest of the field.
Wally Fowler in 2nd. Take a look at that front 2 and then follow this battle back here in 3rd. Bender and Fowler up in front. And how about this for 4 wide, thank you, into turn number 1. They got it down. That's what you're supposed to do, Carol.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how they know to do it, though. That's the problem. I know to do it because I've been doing it a long time. I'm not sure about these guys.
Natural style, natural talent.
That's it. That's what I said. Raw talent. That's not from sitting in the seat too long, I can assure you.
Tom Sherrill, the 29, gave a great race out here on Thursday, and he's right back doing it again. That's the blue car with the yellow number, back to about 6. Take a look at this battle in front another time. Not giving ground is Bender, and not giving up is Fowler.
Bender starts handling just a little bit better than Wally did. He's real smooth off the turn, and Wally, he's kind of hustling his around a little bit. So I think Bender's got the better of the 2 cars right at this point.
Well, they still say that Fowler has a skip in that car number 4, and Bender has had some real experience. He was that snowmobile champion 2 or 3 times, and that's like riding motorcycles, the way those guys handle those things.
Fowler, he probably got that carburetor from Harry Gaines. Harry's car is always skipping, but he's always running right there in the front.
Here's Marty Ward back in 3rd place. Right behind him, Jerry Rector and Marty Ward. Marty Ward is in 3rd, Rector 4th, David Smith 5th, Lesneski 6th, Henry Benfield in there, Shaver, and Hudspeth is up to the top 10. He's in the 9th position. That's car number 40, Mickey Hudspeth, who had started well back on the field, qualified back in 19th. Back up in front, look at this, Darrell.
I'll tell you what, these 2 guys are going at it.
Getting after it. To the inside. Number 4, Wally Fowler from Campobello, South Carolina. The Tony's Restaurant Chevrolet. They're serving a special here about noontime on car number 4.
Yeah. Now, I want to. Does that 4 car look like it's missing to you?
Not from here.
Not from here.
No. I listened to it the last time by. Okay. We have Fowler out in front. Bender falling to second. Marty Ward in third. Rector in fourth. And we'll be back with more in a moment. 30 laps complete. Wally Fowler is the leader. And he's pulling away by some 10 car lengths over Tim Bender in second place. Maintaining third is the number 97 car of Marty Ward. Holding fourth, Jerry Rector, Lesneski fifth, and David Smith, who started up front in fourth position. He's dropped back a bit here. He's in sixth position. Henry Benfield from way out back, 36th spot, up to seventh. Car number 74 may be calling it day. Gary Layton on pit road for the moment. Sportsman competition, Pocono, Pennsylvania. With Darrell Waltrip, I'm Ken Squire. Watching the cars go by on a lovely day here. And with the crew chief of car 4 is Dick Berggren.
Yeah, Bobby Edge, got to ask you, that thing is running like Jack the Bear. Were you kidding me, or is that thing still skipping?
It's skipping occasionally. It's just when he binds the car up, gets on the bottom of the racetrack and skip. It keeps it up on the racetrack every day.
Well, I think everybody else in the field must be glad that thing is skipping, because it is running just great.
He doesn't look bound up to me. He looks like he's just letting her fly. You know, I love guys that get these racing terms out. When he gets the car bound up, what he means is if he turns it real hard down in the corner, it'll kind of scrub a little speed off of that bad boy. So he's trying to keep it free, letting it run free.
So as long as he stays up and doesn't, it's pretty hard to pinch a car here. What about in turn 1?
You can do turn 1's a nice big turn, and you can really let it fly through there. Now you can pinch a car off, pinch it down, and get it bogged down over on the tunnel turn, and maybe over here on turn 3. These guys are. That 98 car has been moving up through the field pretty well.
And Lesneski continues to whip it on him. He could be around here at the finish. Ooh, take a look at Henry Benfield. Keep on coming, Henry. Keep on coming. Got the 43 up on the outside, Paul Shaver.
I guess if you could drive an 18-wheeler all over the country the way Henry does, you can wheel a race car around a 2.5-mile racetrack. Like, you got a lot of sponsors on that car, too.
Henry's got to know a lot of people over the years. He has. And he's put the bite on every one of them to get that race car out there.
They know him.
A lot of help.
He's well known, and they're well known, and there he is.
Well, actually, he's dropped back a couple of spots. He's back to 9th for the moment.
He's saving fuel. Yep. Yeah, he's saving fuel right now.
Well, we've seen that 43 car give a pretty good run. Paul Seaver out of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. That car is flying down the Charlotte Memorial weekend. And there's Henry, still after him. Let's go back up and take a look at car number 98, Lester Lesneski. There's Lesneski. He's in 4th, and Jerry Rector right with him in 5th, and they're trying to draw together up on Marty Ward in 3rd spot. You see Marty Ward in that orange car, number 97.
They're chasing him down. That 98 car, it's on the move. The car's handling good. He's getting down in the corners well, and that car is running very, very fast.
Mark III Insurance, Lester Lesneski, are with the colors that reminds you just a bit of the Robert Yates car coming by.
That's a well-financed car right there. What it says on the side of it anyway.
Well,
Mark III.
Mark III.
Oh, it's insurance.
Yeah.
I thought it said some finance company.
Marty Ward gets around a lap car, but now he's got a collection of friends on the rear bumper. They would like to bump him back a couple of spots. Remember that Ward is 3rd. Jerry Rector in the 80. Here comes Lesneski down to the inside.
Whoa. Boy, that's a tough place to pass right there. The guy on the inside, he's got the right of way, but the guy on the outside has got to let him have it.
That was over the tunnel turn. Down in that short straightaway to turn 3.
Ooh, this is tight right here. Cars have a tendency to really push out off this corner, so when you get under somebody, you got to be sure that you give them enough room. You don't want to get into them.
Darrell, when you see them up there on that 3rd turn, they talk about it as 6 degrees. where does that 6 degrees end? Where do you come off your transition and your flat? Have you ever noticed it?
You know, 6 degrees is not very much banking at all, obviously, and you don't notice any banking there. Again, that is a momentum turn. How hard you can get into that turn really has an effect on how you get out on this front straightaway, and that's how you make good speed around this racetrack, is that particular turn.
Lesneski up to third. Jerry Rector comes to fourth. Marty Ward falling back to fifth. So on this track with these 3 different corners, which remind you a little bit about a road race course, if you really are looking to make time, you focus on turn 3?
Well, that's what we do. Like the old Riverside racetrack, we used to focus on turn 9. That was the big turn, and that's where you made all the speed. Turn 1 down here is so forgiving. I mean, it's a great big, and it's got banking, and it's very forgiving, and you can usually hustle a car through there very well. Getting over the tunnel turn, obviously that's a critical point, but how you get across that short chute into the 3rd turn here and out onto this front straightaway, that's where you make your time. That's where we clock corner speeds and see who's quick.
Making time right now is Wally Fowler, leading Tim Bender in the Gatorade 150 from Pocono, Pennsylvania, here on Prime.
Back here, and of course the racing is hot and heavy here at Pocono International Raceway. You know, Ken, as I go down this list of makes of cars, interesting thing, you see Chevrolet, Ford, Buick, Oldsmobile. All of a sudden you get down here to 03 and you see Imperial. Is there a mistake? Is that really a Chrysler Imperial?
That is indeed a Chrysler Imperial. Comes from Connecticut, running in 10th spot.
Got the white walls and everything.
Yeah, Lavatry.
Look at that.
Car number 03. And he's having a very good day. You know, ARCA has the Kozlowskis love to run Chryslers and do well. But here's this Lavatry from up in Enfield, Connecticut, somewhere in Oakdale, Connecticut, having a very good day. In fact, he's about to be challenging Henry Benfield. Dick Berggren can tell us a little bit more. Oh, we got one in the wall. Car number 98. Lesneski was having that good run and swapped in, slapped the wall. He was in 3rd spot. Lesneski's car getting flattened out against the outside barrier. Put it in the fence.
That's a very similar situation to what happened to Chuck Bound here a few weeks ago that ended up putting him out of his ride because he broke his ankle and his wrist. So that left side driver impact against that hard concrete wall, that's not good, so we have to wait here and see if he's all right.
Sterling Marlin and Chuck Bound in that one back in June, in the spin already.
That's a pretty hard impact. I hope he's all right.
Driver's door in the wall. Turn 1 area. Lester Lesneski. Checking on the condition of Lesneski. We'll give you more on this story in a moment. Stay with us here in the Gatorade 150. Here at Pocono, had a pair of runner-up finishes at Charlotte back in May. Has it all come to conclusion down here in turn 1. He walked away from the car. That's the good news, in the ambulance, and they're going to take him in for a checkup. But we saw him out, and he was talking to his crew on the radio. They said that.
You know, all of a sudden here in just the last lap or two, Lester was running, what, 3rd or 4th? 3rd. Henry was Benfield, who was in the pit and sitting on pit road, was running nice. So 2 of our top 10 runners here all of a sudden have found trouble.
Yeah, a bad break for Henry Benfield. They had the hood up on that, so it's been there a lap or 2 now. Doesn't look good for Henry. He had a really good run and had himself a chance of pulling up into 8th is what has just gone on the racetrack.
Lester got out of that car, Ken, and maybe we'll get a look at it here after a while, but he got out of the car and he had his hat on. I was all worried about left side impact. You know, he maybe got himself shook up a little bit, but he got out of that car and he already had his hat on, and he was kind of had a little pep in his step. He didn't say, I was giving her a good ride, boy.
Well, Henry Benfield gave it a good ride, and his car is being retired. It's being rolled back, motor's gone on car number 11. See you in Charlotte, North Carolina, Henry. Hope you have a good race there. Track clear. I think we're about a lap away from getting this one back underway. And as we get ready to go, we'll have Wally Fowler and Bender and Marty Ward, the 3 that have been dicing throughout the whole event, still added up front. Jerry Rector will be added to that collection. And Hudspeth, in the number 40, that red, white numeral car, he'll find himself back in 6th as he continues to come up through the field.
We're here with Bob Bender, of course, Tim's brother. We were talking about whether or not you should pit. The car's a little tight. You want to loosen it up, but he wouldn't go for it, would he?
He didn't want to come in, you know. The track position's awful important here at Pocono, and there's 23 cars out there you have to go behind. You can't go up behind the lead lap cars, so he'd have to start right at the tail end of the field. So,
not only that, you guys don't need any gas, right? You can make it all the way. You haven't pitted at all.
all right, no problem. With all these caution flags, we got plenty of gas.
And this thing also could conclude a little early.
Yeah, that's right. They're talking about stopping it, so we're going to stay where we are.
Okay, good strategy.
Yeah, there is a time element to this race as well as laps, and if it runs by a certain time with other events on the docket at the Pocono International Raceway, they'll bring out a red and checker. And we've had a lot of cautions, Darrell. Compared to the other day, which was scot-free of this kind of thing, a lot of incidents, and a couple of them really serious. You see a fuel cell ripped out of a car and thrown 80, 90 feet. You got to know that that's serious stuff.
You know, when I play golf, the first day I play really well. Then I said, well, I'm getting good. I think I'll go play again tomorrow. And then the next day I don't play so good. I try to correct my swing, and I try to hit it further. And
what's your score?
Well, 95 maybe. And I think that's kind of the deal here.
Maybe.
They raced here on Thursday. They went back and they said, we work on this car. We'll make it a little better. We'll tune it a little better. And we'll tighten it up a little bit. And they come out here and find out, maybe I should have left it alone.
Well, if any of you folks are looking for a good golf game and you like to play with a guy that's at 95 maybe, all kits available. Here we go. Restart.
These restarts are incredible. They are incredible.
Oh. Does look like a commercial, doesn't it?
I'm telling you.
Holy moly. Here they are.
I wouldn't have any idea what to tell you.
Well, I can tell you this, that staying out in front is Wally Fowler, and Tim Bender hangs right onto him. That is some introduction on the restart. It is.
But you can make up a lot of time right there, and you can lose a lot of time right there.
When you come off the first turn, do you really get thrown up against that wall, or can you hold it right down?
Well, because it's such a big turn and you're back in the throttle so early, you carry a lot of speed off of that corner, and it shoots you right out next to that concrete wall.
Darrell, you ready for this? Car 6, David Smith right there. Car 6, David Smith was 13th, now 4th on the restart, and I think he's getting a black flag.
Oh, they can't.
I don't know how they're
not going to black flag.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're going to straighten this out.
I just can't imagine. Oh, after what we see today, they're going to black flag somebody? I don't think so.
You watch. There it is. The black flag is in the starter's hands, and car number 6, David R. Smith from Hope, Florida, gets the call.
Well, Dave, I'd go to bat for you, buddy. I'm telling you.
It's like radar on the interstate. They picked 1 out of 30.
That's right. I don't see how they can do that to that poor guy.
Well, there's that 03. Still hustling out there is our Mopar friend. I understand it's a 1982 Chrysler.
You know, Junior we built a car like that back in the 70s, an Imperial, in the late 70s, early 80s. Everyone went to these notchback cars and had a little bit of advantage. But the one we built had a Continental kit on it. Does he have a Continental kit on him?
He took it off before the race. Lavatri, who's now 6. We've got to cut the jokes on him. He's coming. He's up to 6 in that Chrysler Imperial. They always had a good radio, too.
Yeah, and they ride good, you know, on a big racetrack like this. That's important.
Fowler first, Bender second, and Ward third. It's been a good race for this trio.
I think somebody told these guys they better get on with the program because they're checking out of the rest of the field.
By about 15 car lengths over Richter in 4th, and Hudspeth comes into 5th in car 40. See that second group? See the first 3 by, and here comes Hudspeth down to the inside. And right behind the Chrysler. You really think Chrysler's never going to get back into this thing? I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, I would too.
But do you think it'll really happen?
They've got a lot of great products right now. Their street cars are, you know, state of the art, and they've got a lot of racing equipment in other series. They don't have a body right now that would be good for Winston Cup racing, but I'd sure like to see them back out here.
Look at that 61, R.C. Hickson down on the inside. Relief driving for Sherry Minter. Brought that car up into 7th position. Hickson's Gary is number 61 coming through. What a ride he's giving that rig.
That's a pretty car. I like that paint job on that thing. These guys are racing hard for second place right here. And really and truly right now, they just need to draft each other. They need to get up there and hang with Wally and put some distance between them and the rest of the field.
When you're by yourself, where do you want to be in this main straightaway?
It depends, Ken. Guys move all. This track is, as we said time and time again, is so wide. You try to break the grass, and so you'll bob and weave a little bit down this front straightaway. You'll go to the inside, swing it back out to the outside, just trying to break the air up so the guy behind you can't draft on you.
Well, you're watching Mickey Hudspeth as he continues to close ground. A lot of last-moment efforts out here. R.C. Hickson coming from the rear in the 61 pulling up. Here's Gary Rector under challenge in the 81 car from Hudspeth in the number 40. Takes it over the tunnel turn. As we look through the standings, here comes Hudspeth through that final turn, turn 3. 81 Rector stays 4th, and in 5th is Hudspeth. You know, what's the toughest part of this racetrack? How tough is it getting through turn 1 down here at Pocono?
It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to let up on that gas, too, because, you know, you're slowing down. But you want to run in there just as hard as you can.
That's exactly what he's doing.
You know, Kenny's cars have been out here now 45 laps. No tire changes, and no fuel added to them, and they're still handling very well. That's pretty incredible how well they can get around here and not make tire changes.
That's part of keeping the cost down in this particular division.
I think it's a good rule. We use, in a Winston Cup series, we use a lot of tires.
Would you like to see a tire rule come into Winston Cup?
I really would. I think we could get together as competitors and owners and figure out exactly how many tires it takes to run this race without any excessive use, and limit that number of tires for that day, whether it be 5 sets, 10 sets, whatever it is, but have a limit on them, because we put too many tires. When we come in after 3 or 4 laps, stick a set of tires on, and we wouldn't do that.
The car 18, they say, got really squirrely and lost some positions. David Smith of Anderson, South Carolina. The story for the moment is up in front, where Wally Fowler leads in the white number 4. Tim Bender is in second, and Ward is third. Maybe we can show you that 18 car right here.
He's carrying a lot of speed, and he's getting out wide, and it gets real loose right there. The track's dirty out there. There's a lot of debris and stuff from the cars running down the inside, and that's what happens when you get that thing out. He's lucky he hung on to it.
Car number 1, that's Don Satterfield, who was up to 10th position, former part-time Winston Cup driver and owner. Remember, he used to have some work done with Flip Johnson. He has trouble out here now and is moseying very slowly back toward the pit area. Don Satterfield in the number 1 out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. Meanwhile, back in front, here comes Fowler and Bender. Fowler first, number 4. Bender right after him.
Well, I think, you know, you heard Bender's car. It's a tight, little pushing just a little bit. I think that'll pay dividends as you get down near the end of the race here, because that car will handle better than Wally's car will. Wally's car's faster. Bender's car's handling a bit better. That was my point about tires. They're burning the fuel off. The cars are going through changes right now.
Whoa. Hold on to it. It's going for the wall. Boy, you could feel that one coming.
Boy, I tell you, I'm speechless when I see things like that right there. Driver's side again, facing the traffic. But what happened was, when we go back and look,
Tim Bender.
Wally's car ran through some dirt or stay dry or something down there in turn 1, and it caused the Bender to get loose. I think you go back and look at it. I think the 1 car threw some water or debris. See the dirt flying up behind the car there? I think when the 1 car went off down there, he got some dirt on the racetrack. See, even Wally's getting real loose. That's where the 1 car came back out on the speedway.
Let's take a look at that 1 car, but take a look at the rest. That is close. Everybody got through.
Here's the 1 car. See, he's throwing dirt and water and all kind of stuff up on the racetrack right there.
Satterfield in the 1.
Yeah, he saves it, and he sprays a little bit more up there. And now the leaders are going to come along here right behind him.
They were half a lap back.
Yeah, and the track was just dirty right there from the water and mud that he threw on the track. And Fowler got through okay, but Bender didn't. And buddy, this right here is, I mean, I don't even like the look.
Some days are diamonds, some days are stones. Diamonds for those guys.
Those guys did an excellent job of avoiding a terrible accident like this.
R.C. Hickson in car 61, now up to 5th, and Randy is standing by down on pit road.
Well, the question would have to be asked, if these guys are allowed 4 new tires after they flat spot them, how much will they pick up on the racetrack after 48 laps have been run for some of these guys on these other tires? So, depending on how many cars in the lead lap, if Bender can get a good run, he might get back to the front with 4 fresh tires. They're already done on the right side of Bender's car. His brother Bob works the left front. Of course, a brand new sponsor. They didn't even race here on Thursday with this automobile. It's an automobile they picked up just a couple of days ago, put the sponsor on, and they're doing quite well today other than that spin. Left side tires on Bender's car. We're going to drop it here in just a second. He's going to be back out, but he'll line up deep in the field. I don't know if he can catch him or not, Darrell. All depends on how far back he lines up.
Yes, Darrell, 23 cars on that lead lap as he comes out here. With those 4 tires and the time left here, 12 to go, can you make it? You feel he can get back up in there with new rubber on?
I don't think so. These cars are fair, real equally matched. There's not any real performance advantage here. The tires will certainly make a difference. And I know one thing, if he uses the restart like some of these guys have, he might be able to get back up there to lead. And if he does, he's going to be hard to beat with those 4 fresh tires. The key is going to be the restart.
41 seconds spent on pit road to change those 4 tires compared to what you folks do, but this is Sportsman racing, and they don't have the equipment that you guys do, nor the experience.
No, but
personnel.
If you listen to the air wrenches, particularly when you're putting the left front on there, it's kind of like tat-tat-tat, 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 and ours is just running wide open all the time. So
Louis Belson type stuff. All right, let's go down to Randy.
Well, here's the right front that came off Bender's car. You can see, talk about flat spot, and went right through the core, inner liner underneath this tire. This is the right front, and then here we go, another flat spot over here. So obviously, when they flat spot these tires, Darrell, he couldn't drive on this. There's no way.
No, when they go into any kind of a slide with the type of rubber we're running today, it'll wear a hole right into the inner liner.
Well, there you see the field in the main straightaway. Light is off on the pace car, pace truck, and 1 lap from now we'll have them underway. Car number 0, Tim Neighbors, has made a last-moment stop, and the hood has come up. We'll take a quick commercial break and then come back for the results of this Gatorade 150 at Pocono, Pennsylvania. 60 laps the distance for 150 miles. The green flag is out, and as they break, let's see what Hudspeth will do. The 17 car, that's Mike Galt making a big move on the bottom of the racetrack, taking 3 cars on the start as they charge. That's that black car headed down into the corner. Now, who's going to give this time?
Well, it's getting late in the event here, and everybody knows they got to take what they can get, so it's not going to be very forgiving at this point.
Hickson, R.C. wisely backed off. He was down on the bottom and knew he could get collected. Good move by him. Here's the battle for the lead. Down the back straightaway. It's Fowler. And coming right back on him is Marty Ward. And take a look at Bender coming up through traffic. This could get real interesting. Bender in the 36 has been fighting for the lead all day.
Where you can really see those 4 tires work is when he gets to the turn. He can just hold the thing in there and get in the corner much harder than the guys that are on the used tires.
So Fowler stays in front. Ward stays in second. And that number 17 flying through the field. The third, and here comes that yellow car of Bender. Watch him move in this main straightaway.
See how he's able to stay on the bottom of the racetrack there, Ken, and it really gives him a tremendous amount of traction coming up off the corner. And now he's using the draft, and he'll go down on the inside of this white car here, and he's making a big move.
Don Wagner coming up through into 5th now in car 24. Meanwhile, we're watching Bender further back in the field. I thought he might collect a couple more cars than just the 62 at that point.
Yeah, the traffic's real heavy right now, and he's got not only has he got a mission to get to the front, but he's also got to kind of pick his way there also.
For the tunnel turn, he's up to challenge number 43. All Shaver. Ooh, take them all. There's that 1 car, Satterfield up there. Up! 43 gets loose. Bender gets loose. He tries to get it back. They both, no, sir, does not make it through. There was a save. Collected it, lost it, and it's still green.
You know, Ken, in my experience here at this racetrack, I've never seen 4 cars go through that turn at one time without having that problem.
You didn't see it that time either.
It hadn't happened yet. 4 into 2. Yeah,
it does not go.
Don't go.
Yeah. Bender back away in car 36, and we're still under green. No caution coming out. Here's the replay. 4 wide. Ooh. 40. That 43 of Paul Shaver goes around. He got it back once. Couldn't get it back the second time.
Bender, the car was just feeling so good, and of course he's got to make a move. He's got to get to the front, and he's got to go by everything he can when he catches them, and he forced the issue a little bit there.
Trying to make a little history out there. Trying to make himself a victory is Wally Fowler in the 4. Marty Ward still in that Hooters car trying to take it away from him. Jerry Rector lies third, just a little bit further back in the white red numerals number 81. Then it's Galt in the 17th and Hudspeth in the number 40. Remember, Hudspeth started 19th on the day. Lavectre is in 6th in the 03 to Chrysler.
We got the 2 restaurants fighting it out up front. We got the Hooters car and we got the Tony's restaurant car. We'll see who has the best service. Probably be to go.
Boston wins.
Got a drive-through window here. Well, they're pulling away from everybody else, I can tell you that. They got a half straightaway lead on the 3rd place car now.
And you can see the interval right there that Fowler and Ward have collected over the rest of the field. Rector, Galt, Hudspeth, and Smith back there in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
And our old buddy Tim Bender, he's limping down pit lane here. He's going to get him 4 more tires. I'm sure he doesn't. He may not even have 4 more tires.
He can borrow some. I'm sure somebody will be willing to cooperate in this group. Sportsman competition. 150 miler. Pocono, Pennsylvania. Here's the battle for the lead as they come down with 6 laps to go and they hit the stripe this time. Oh, we've got at Satterfield out of control again. Into the grass. Whoa. Tungo.
Not so lucky that time. He lost it down in turn 1 last time and saved it. That's turn 3 there, and not so lucky that time.
In turn 3, Satterfield bounces to the bottom of the track, into the fence.
No caution yet.
And no caution thrown.
See what happens here. Flagman's got the flag in his hand. Looks like he's talking it over with the officials, but so far no caution.
And look at Fowler just pull away. Guess he was given the word to stand on it.
Oh, you know, he quit binding it up. When he quit binding that car up, it took off.
Here's Satterfield coming back.
Take another look at this.
Boy, they're still trying to go over that tunnel turn 2 and 3 wide.
Yeah.
Looks like Tom Sherrill in the 29 was up on the outside of that one. See him just getting by now.
Yeah, actually this is down to turn 3 here, Ken. And,
yep.
Again, it gets very narrow when you try to get 2 or 3 wide going into the tunnel turn or this turn.
But Gerald, going up over that tunnel turn, they were still playing that game. Do you think they got them loose up there? And
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. They got dicing around. And
take a look at the interval here. Those 2 leaders drawing away. Marty Fowler, another Marty Ward in 2nd to 97, and Wally Fowler in that number 4 car up in front.
Well, it's going to be a shootout between those 2, looks like. So here comes 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, and they're not making much noise.
The way it's running right now, it's another South Carolina sweep. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Fowler, Ward, Rector.
When I was kidding about not binding the 4 car up, but if you watch, he runs a very high line off of turn 3 here, which is a much freer line for that race car. So apparently his crew did relate to him that he needed to not bind the car up.
In the last 4 laps. In the final 4. Great performance here by Fowler once again.
Well, these 2 guys, they started up front. They're going to end up front.
Well, they were able to get themselves sorted out on those incredible starts. They really paid attention. And now we've got another. The 29 is in trouble. Bouncing into the infield goes Tom Sherrill of Mooresville, North Carolina. And that's going to end his day. And there's still no caution.
Yeah, there's no caution. And what the deal is now, these guys are down. Their tires are pretty well worn, and they're low on fuel, and the cars are going through some pretty dramatic changes right now as far as handling characteristics are concerned. And some of these guys are experienced enough to hang on to it, some of them aren't.
The 14th when the car got out from underneath Tom Sherrill here with 3 laps remaining this time by. Got a car running very slowly, bottom of that first turn. As the leader, Wally Fowler, followed by Marty Ward. Threw them out there.
Yeah, that allowed Marty Ward to close up a little bit, but not very much. Traffic could be a factor, but I don't think so.
Bill Ferguson is the fella getting lapped from White Lake, Michigan. Hanging in there and staying out here to the very finish of this event.
This is going to be the best race back here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
There's Hudspeth in the red number 40. One more time after Jerry Rector for 3rd spot. The 13 car on the bottom is Tom Weiss out of Rochester, New York. Going still another lap down. So a couple to go this time by on those 2 leaders. 2 to go.
Fowler's really, he's putting a little distance between he and Marty Ward, so he knows that all the cards are on the table now. He knows what he's got to do.
5 cautions, 17 laps. The leaders, 5 of them. 5 lead changes among 3 drivers in this race. So Marty Ward's in for another good finish. Fowler, he is just flying. Now he's drawing away from everything. Has the field covered by 10 to 15 car lengths back to that second place man, and then this big distance back to 3rd and 4th. Car 17, Mike Galt, son of Rock Galt, who built the old Gatorade Speedway in South Carolina. Everyone know that? Once. Mike Galt having a good day, and we find him in 5th position now with car 17.
Good to see that 17 in the top 5.
Gaffney used to have some great drivers. Remember Charlie Blanton came out of Gaffney back when they used to run that Camaro series. White flag was on the track in NASCAR. Grand American, they called him then. Mike Duval, the Flintstone Flyer. That's Mike Galt's dad. He's that racetrack. Rock Galt. Rock Galt. Yep.
I'm pretty sure you can do a Stanley Galt, CEO of Goodyear.
Check on him. Take a look at Hudspeth here as we check in on him. Trying to check out is Jerry Rector right in front of him. He gets away by about 6 car lengths. You know, there could be a family feud in there between the Akron, Ohio Gulf and the South Carolina Gulf. You know, that's where this thing goes.
That's a possibility. Mr. Galt to find there. He's not one of the few that I'm saying.
There's Mike Galt. Feuding right now with David Smith in number 18 for 5th spot. Checkers coming down. And to win this race, it will be car number 4, Wally Fowler, finishing the 150-mile distance with Marty Ward right behind him. It will be Jerry Rector for 3rd, Hudspeth for 4th, and Mike Galt gets himself 5th with David Smith in 6th. R.C. Hickson in that car number 61 brought the Sherry Minter ride from the rear up to 7th place today. And Lavatry in the Chrysler gets himself an 8th place finish. Bobby Fox will be 9th. Thurman will finish in 10th. That's the story here on the Gatorade 150 at Pocono, Pennsylvania on Prime today. The win is Fowler's, and we'll meet him in a moment.
Gatorade 150 is brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Nothing quenches that deep down body thirst better than Gatorade.
All right, we're with you here for the Gatorade 150, and to meet the winner there, checking the angle out here on the spoilers on all these cars, making sure they all come through. Dick Berggren standing by, and let's go right down there now and meet the winner.
Well, Wally Fowler, you've run here twice, won here twice. How'd you figure it out so fast?
Good luck, I guess. I was a little bit worried on that first caution when we stopped. Nobody else did, but I tell you, this Clements power plant is awesome, ain't it?
And the driver behind the wheel is awesome as well. Wally Fowler, his second victory at Pocono this week.
Well, he sure didn't pinch that at the end. He had it flying all the way to the conclusion of this race. Wally Fowler comes home in first place.
Yeah,
Final thoughts from you, DW?
Got his bottle of Gatorade, had that winning smile. He's got this place figured out. He wished he raced here every week.
Well, thanks for being with us here on Prime to enjoy the Gatorade 150 from the Pocono International Raceway. For Darrell Waltrip, Dick Bergen, Randy Pemberton, I'm Ken Squire.